look at this, guys. This plant is all leafed out. It's been over a year since I started working on this bonsai project. It was probably about a year and a half ago that I took a cutting from this rubber tree behind me. Now, the reason for this at the time was to chop off the top and get the plant to start branching out. Now, it started to do a little bit of branching, but primarily this section just became the new top. So it pretty much looks the same as it was before. But around that same time, I started to get into bonsai. And I saw a couple of videos where people actually were able to turn a rubber tree, which has traditionally quite large leaves, into a miniature bonsai. And they're able to keep the leaves quite small and manageable just by continuously pruning the tree, keeping it nice and compact, and growing something that's really, really special. So after I rooted the cutting from this tree, I potted it up, and that's where the journey started. So at this point, this is a full year ago. You can see that the tree has not only rooted, but it's actually started to grow. What was just a small cutting to begin with is actually now quite a tall branch and could be its own rubber tree. That's something, if I had left it as it was, probably would be quite a sizable tree by now. But I had bigger plans for this tree. So I thought, okay, let's go in, let's do another deep prune. So August last year, I went in and I chopped the plant all the way down just to encourage some more branching and to grow something a little bit interesting. And that was the end of the story for a long time. And that's until a couple of weeks ago where I started to finally do a little bit of work on this plant.
Here we have my rubber tree, which I'm trying to train to be a bonsai. And I'm going to do the first prune of this plant since I've started to grow it. As you can see, we're going for kind of a clump style design. We've got 3 plants in here. And in order to sort of promote that growth, I think we're going to have to do some heavy pruning to get this thing exactly where we want it. Now you have to remember that when you're pruning fig trees, they tend to grow a new bud in between where a previous leaf was, and that's where your node will be. So I'm going to use that to sort of help me guide this plant. The first thing I want to do is cut off this leaf. This leaf on the main stem here is actually quite large, as you can see. And we want to promote smaller leaves, so that's going to be the first cut that we make. With this other stem here, if I cut just here where my finger is, you can see that the node will actually come out from this way, so you would actually cut across this tree. However, if I cut this one, the node will come above this leaf here, and that's probably more in line. It's a bit too tall actually. If I cut it from there, if I spin the plant around on that same stem, you can see here where we had a previous leaf, and if you look closely, there's actually another dormant node there. So you can potentially get that to come out of here. I think that would be a lot more interesting. So I think we're gonna go for it. Not gonna think about it too much. And finally, setting this stem here. I think right here is where the previous leaf would have been. So I think if we just cut just above that, we should get a new stem coming out this way. And what do I do about this leader? I think the only logical place to make a cut is just above here. Just here where you see that little node is. Any lower, and I'm nervous that there's already a spent node here. This whole thing, there's no nodes for a new leaf to come out. It's only here, 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 and here. So I think we'll have to just go above this node and give that a little trim. And now that's looking incredibly bold. But we'll just put it back in front of the window where it was sat. Let it get some good light, a bit of water, and we'll see what happens. See where we go from here.
Yep. So I went to town on that plant. I chopped it up, got it really small. I was a little bit nervous because obviously there are no leaves left on this thing. I know it's rooted, but I don't know if it's going to come back, if it's going to be okay. This is the first time I've done a massive pruning on any of my bonsai projects. So it's a little bit nervous. I put the plant back in the position that it was in originally, which is an east-facing window, literally the one just here. And I said, okay, let's give it a bit of water and let's set it and forget it. So I did that and I kept an eye on it, just trying to look to see if there was anything, any signs of growth, if the plant is in fact dead. I don't know. So I just kept an eye on it. And it wasn't long. It was only a couple of weeks later where the plant finally started to show signs of growth. I started to see the plant pushing out some new growth points, and that was looking really, really incredible. So I made sure that I documented that part of the process because I was super excited, and I knew that, you know what, this is going to be okay. We can get this plant into a position where it's going to be amazing and it's going to be okay. Like, it's not going to die. It's not going to have root rot or anything.
It's maybe a week later, and here's an update on the chop that we made on this plant. Look at that. So we have some growth points here. We have 2 down here in the center. We have this branch over here with 1 growth point. I don't think it has another. And this main one, I thought it was only the one growing down here, but actually today I've noticed that it started to show a little sign of growth just up here, which is fantastic. Really good news.
And this plant has been super, super quick because it's only a few weeks later. I want to say maybe about a month, maybe less than that. But this is the plant now. Look at this, guys. This plant is all leafed out and it is looking really, really cool. What I like is that we're able to reduce the size of the leaves. And the only way to do that, as far as I know, is to continuously prune the plant. So I have to now remain on top of this plant to make sure that the leaves stay small, that it grows in the shape and the pattern and design that I want it to. And yeah, I'm just going to keep an eye on it. The only thing that's left to do for now, and when the plant starts growing, I might have to do some more work. So this is, for me, this is more of a sort of a reactive process, see how the plant grows and trying to encourage it to do something cool and unique. I'm hoping that this section here is going to be the apex, but obviously where I had left this branch here and I thought that it would grow a new shoot, it didn't. It sort of just started to grow a new branch line just here. If I don't stay on top of it, that might become the apex. But one of the things I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this bit off. It's actually dried and it's almost dead wood now. So I'm going to take this off and I'm going to cut it as close to the base as possible. So there you go, that's gone. But what I've noticed today is that we have just the smallest little growth point just here. So we might have some unique branching that occurs at the top of this tree, where we have a couple of different directions that we can follow. But definitely I can see that the plant is sending a lot of energy. Well, this main stem is sending a lot of energy to this stem over here because it grew 2 growth points, well 3 now. And this one is definitely showing a lot more vigor, a lot larger leaves. But we'll keep an eye on that and see what happens. All of the cuttings that were in here, which were 3, have actually leafed out and are now starting to grow again. We're going to keep an eye on it. I might look to maybe trimming off just the top growth, just to sort of stop it from having dominance and taking over the growth and stopping everything else. By just pinching the top, that redirects the energy of the plant and it allows it to sort of start focusing or sending growth signals to different parts of the plant, encouraging new shoots a lot of the time. So that might be something that I do in the future. But for now, I think I'm going to leave it like this. But the plant is certainly growing quite quickly. As you can see, we have a lot of new leaves, like this one over here. And all of the other ones are actually producing new leaves. So I think this plant is going to grow quite rapidly, quite quickly. So this is just a fun little project that I want to keep an eye on, see how it develops. And I will definitely keep you guys posted on this because I'm really excited about it to see how it goes. A couple of other bonsais that I've tried in the past, unfortunately, haven't made it, like the infamous avocado bonsai, the first one that I started on. Unfortunately, that didn't make it. There is another one that I'll be doing an update on very soon because that one's growing quite well. I'm looking at it now quite nicely. So I will do an update on that in the very near future. And there's some other projects that I'm working on as well because bonsai is just another way to engage with your plants in a different way. What I like about bonsai is that you're sort of dictating how the plant grows and it just lets you get so much more involved than, you know, when you're watering and stuff, which is also nice, but it's just another level to that engagement with your plants. But this is it. This is the Ficus Elastica, the unexpected bonsai. We're going to see how we get on with that. I'm hoping, actually, I should say before I go, that all of these stems can fuse together at some point. That's the real vision for me. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet, but I will find a way. I will find a way. But yes, this is it. This is all from me. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, keep planting.